Cypress Development Corp. is developing a world-class lithium resource in the heart of Clayton Valley, Nevada. The size of the resource makes the Clayton Valley project a premier asset with the potential to impact the future of lithium supply. Cypress Development Corp. Trades on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol CYP, the OTCQB, symbol CYDVF, and on Frankfurt, symbol C1Z1. For more information, please visit our website, cypressdevelopmentcorp.com.
You're listening to HowStreet.com radio, available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. Welcome to HowStreet.com radio, the online source for market opinions. Here is Jim Goddard.
My guest is Sean Brodrick, senior editor at WeissRatings.com. Welcome back to the show, Sean.
Thanks very much for having me on.
Sean, I'm glad you're based in Florida and you didn't get hit by much of a storm.
No, it was actually pretty dull here. I think the largest threat we all face is we all gained weight from eating hurricane snacks. That's about it.
Glad that was the worst result. Gold, silver, and platinum, are they the shiniest objects on the shelf right now? Literally.
Yes. I mean, people have been watching a gold make its huge rally, right? I mean, it's up about $300 an ounce since May. Silver, though, lately has been outperforming gold in percentage terms, which is what you want to see in a bull market. That's actually one of the indicators of a bull market, is when silver outperforms gold, because silver is the drama queen of the precious metals. It's always overdoing things on the upside and the downside. But the more interesting thing is just in the past 2 weeks, we've seen platinum start to outperform silver. Platinum is actually the hottest of them most recently. And that's an indication of more speculative money coming into the precious metals, which is yet another indication that, yeah, this bull market is really on like Donkey Kong. So, I think, no, nothing goes in a straight line. People should keep that in mind. If they see gold or silver up on a particular day, there's no need to chase it. All you have to do is wait for one of the inevitable pullbacks and buy the pullbacks. That's what I would recommend.
Mm-hmm. Any idea why platinum has become hot right now?
Well, I mean, many of the same reasons that really motivated a gold and silver, which is we are seeing central banks around the world undercut their own currencies, so that makes the hard currencies actually look better. By comparison, we are seeing government bonds around the world, about 17 trillion of them, pay negative yields now. And one of the complaints about precious metals for the longest time is they pay no interest. Well, now government bonds don't pay interest either. So that really lifts the weight off of things like gold, silver, platinum, and so on. And then there's the geopolitical concerns. People are purchasing these metals because they are worried about what's happening around the world. But it's actually a mix of like many things. And they kind of happen at the same time, but they also overwhelm each other. For example, over the weekend, we saw China back off from the high-pressure tactics it was using on the people of Hong Kong. That should have caused selling in things like gold and silver, because they had been bought, because people were worried about what was going on in China and Hong Kong. We should have seen selling. Well, that news came out Tuesday night. Wednesday morning, gold tried to sell off, and yet the buyers came in. This just shows the kind of hunger there is for the metals, and shows that, we had like a 5-year consolidation, and now we're seeing a breakout to the upside. It's a technical breakout, but it's driven by fundamental factors. So I think things look quite positive, probably for quite some time to come.
And we saw the governor of Hong Kong today formally withdraw the proposed bill that would have allowed people to be extradited from Hong Kong to China. Is that going to cool things off there, or has that just gained so much momentum? They're just used to protesting now.
Well, I guess it's up to the people of Hong Kong to decide. I will say that was only one of their demands. They had other demands as well, including they want an unbiased investigation of the heavy-handed police tactics that were used during the crackdown. That hasn't been announced yet. So I think we'll see what happens to how the people of Hong Kong react to the government reaction to their demands. If, like, the government follows through on, like, more of the demands, that should diffuse things. If the government doesn't, let's see if the people start to riot again. So I don't think that whole situation is done with yet. Now, the other geopolitical situation that's really, really grabbing the spotlight now is what's happening in Britain, Brexit. And that seems to be getting worse by the day. And that's really put, some of the fear trade in there, because that not only affects Britain, it affects Europe. So then we could just get into the nest of worms that is the Middle East. And it's other things around the world as well. It's all boiling up. And so you can see why there would be fundamental demand for gold would be increasing, because people are scared, and scared that things will get worse.
We'll have more with Sean Brodrick right after this.
Grand Portage Resources' Herbert Gold Project in southeast Alaska highlights increased gold resource, indicated and inferred, of 860,000 ounces, in excess of 10 grams per ton gold. Expansion drilling is planned on the Herbert Gold property for the summer of 2019. Grand Portage Resources trading symbols are GPG on the TSX Venture, GPTRF on the OTCQB, and GPB on Frankfurt. For more information, please visit our website, grandportage.com.
Media recognition from Bloomberg, Reuters, recycling trade publications, patented process for 100% recovery of critical metals, including cobalt, lithium, nickel, manganese, aluminum. American Manganese is focused on recycling lithium-ion batteries for electric vehicles. American Manganese trades on the TSX Venture, AMY, the US, AMYZF, and Frankfurt 2AM. For more information, visit AmericanManganeseInc.com or phone me, Larry Ray, at 778-574-4444.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Sean Brodrick. Sean, what's happening in the marijuana space?
Well, right now, and I know that you have a mostly Canadian audience, so I hate to say this, it really seems like the Canadian stocks are underperforming. In fact, I can tell you what I did in my own personal portfolio today, and we're speaking on Wednesday, is that one of the stocks I held was Aurora Cannabis, which I bought very recently because it had kind of a bullish move. And it had bullish news today, which is it sold one of its big investments at a nice fat profit and all that stuff, and that sent the stock up in the pre-market. But right at the open, that slowly started to bleed off. That started to come down. And also, Organogram was another one I had in my personal portfolio. And that popped on the news, probably riding Aurora's coattails, but it slowly started to bleed off. So even when these stocks get good news, they don't hold it for long. I just took, like, the gains I had in those two. What I'm holding on to in my personal portfolio is U.S. cannabis stocks, which seem to be holding on to good news better, capitalizing on it better. And so this could be due to a number of things. One is we have there's a whole bunch of new election results that should be coming up as things move toward new referendums. Also, over the weekend, President Trump told a reporter that he stood by his commitment to let the states legalize marijuana in the manner in which they see fit. And he says that his government is going to take a hands-off approach. Now, unless something changes his mind, and I don't see anything that should, that's actually very positive for the U.S. marijuana market. We also have things like the banking bill and like stuff like that. You can see why people would be more positive on U.S. marijuana stocks, and that's just kind of the way that I'm playing it now. There is good news coming up in Canada where you have legalization of like edibles and stuff like that coming up, but you would think that should be starting to be priced in right now, and we aren't seeing a lot of positive action in the Canadian marijuana space. So that just leads me to think that really, at least in the short term, the U.S. cannabis market is a better investment than the Canadian cannabis market. Longer term, though, the trends are really bullish for a number of different companies in here that should do well. I'm not that keen on the growers longer term because cannabis is going to become is going to become commoditized. That is just like wheat or rice or anything you can grow, and so there'll be more and more of it. That will push prices down. But those companies that can leverage the cannabis they grow, or else buy it from other companies, and either process it or turn it into other products and stuff like that, there's the potential for them to do very well. I live in South Florida, and let me tell you, the fastest growing segment of the market here is the senior citizen market. They love cannabis. They just think it's the bee's knees. It helps them with all their aches and pains, and you name it. And so that's a powerful political and, group that can really help change laws and stuff. So I think things look good for the U.S. cannabis market.
We'll have more with Sean Brodrick right after this.
I'm Douglas Mason, CEO of Naturally Splendid, symbol NSP on the TSX Venture Exchange. Naturally Splendid is a biotechnology and consumer products company focused on the global cannabis and health markets. Naturally Splendid is expanding distribution in this rapidly growing market with products currently in Canada, the USA, South Korea, Germany, and Australia. To view our comprehensive company presentation and for more information, please visit our website at naturallysplendid.com.
Don't miss out. Stay informed. Receive the HowStreet.com weekly recap with thought-provoking podcasts, radio, and articles delivered to your inbox. Sign up for the HowStreet.com weekly recap on our homepage at HowStreet.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Sean Brodrick. Sean, what's happening with energy?
Well, what I've been doing is just speak about the price of oil. We are seeing it coiling up. That's the kind of thing before you see a breakout, one way or the other. Now, I know people who will make a strong bullish case, people who make a strong bearish case, but this coiling up is like indicating that the price of oil is about to make a big move. What I've been doing is I use the pullbacks, and like you can see them on a chart. You can see where you should buy. I've used those pullbacks to add dividend-raising oil stocks that should be able to weather out any lower prices, and in the meantime, they pay nice dividends. Many people have written off the energy markets, written off those stocks, and many of them, the ones that aren't burdened by debt too much, are very, very good companies. They pay nice dividends, they have growth, they know what they're doing, they run extremely well, and so I think people should look at that industry, that sector, as a place for some real value right now. Again, there is probably a breakout coming. I don't know whether it's up or down. I am taking long positions on the pullbacks in those stocks that raise dividends. And that's a strategy that's probably a winning strategy longer term, or at least I hope so.
Mm-hmm. Now, of course, there's been this push for electric cars. When are they going to start having an impact on the price of oil?
Oh, they are so small in the amount of total oil demand. It's crazy. In fact, one of the largest consumers of oil demand is the big tankers that shuttle oil around the world. Isn't that funny? But that's a huge source of oil demand, is the tankers that actually bring it everywhere. So over time, electric vehicles will have an impact on the market. It's absolutely true. But it's probably going to be longer than the average person thinks. Now, there are people who point out that the growth in this area has been much, much better than many people anticipated, right? And so, as that happens, as you can see why many people were really optimistic about all these things. But here's the thing, is that that's kind of misplaced optimism, because while it's nice to look at the past trend and say, wouldn't that be great if that continues, that past trend doesn't actually have to continue that way. And so I'm a big bull on electric vehicles and that kind of stuff, but I can tell you, at least the way the prices are going for the metals used in electric vehicles, the outlook in the industry isn't as bullish as we might hope. things may change. If we start to see the price of lithium, for example, increase rather than go down, that would give me more hope that adoption of electric vehicles is actually going to pick up the pace. But right now, I'm not bearish, but I'm not ultra bullish either.
I was told years ago there would never be enough lithium to meet the demand for car batteries. Will there be?
Well, they'll just change the batteries, right? I mean, they'll use new metals. There's new metals being investigated all the time. They're speaking about using like sulfur. They're just talking about all kinds of like new things. Technology changes all the time. And in fact, they may come up with much more efficient batteries. That's like one of the things that they're actually talking about. So, I'm not that worried about that. I think technology will see us through on that. We can't judge the future by the technology we have today. In fact, as I'm sure you know, there are oil fields that are being developed now. I mean, they're just starting to actually work on them. And I'm speaking about the deep undersea oil fields, like in Brazil, stuff like that. They know what they have to do. They don't have the end technology they need to get the oil out of there. They just figure out that, at some point that new technology will be developed to actually get that last bit of the pipe down there to actually get the oil out. Technology changes all the time, and for something like electric vehicles, that is a real blessing, because it is going to become more efficient. It is going to become better. It's going to become higher powered, faster charging. Many, many things will be good that way. So, we are seeing kind of at least in the pricing of the metals, we are seeing less optimism than we used to see. But I think big picture, one still should remain optimistic, because again, things zig and zag. We're just having a zag come down in the optimism right now. It'll zig higher again soon enough.
And of course, here in Vancouver, gasoline in the spring hit $1.78 a liter. That translates to $6.76 a gallon. People started asking about electric cars then.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know what kind of tax breaks you guys give for electric vehicles. That really is a big part of the equation as well. But I can also tell you there's no industry in North America that is as heavily subsidized as the fossil fuel industry. I mean, well, except maybe uranium, because when they build those nuclear power plants, they get all kind of guarantees, simply because they're so expensive, no one wants to take the risk and stuff. So, so I think, depending on who wins the next Congress and the next presidency, we could see a push into EVs that would really revitalize the market. But you hate to make any kind of bet or prediction on like something you really can't predict, who will win. We don't even know who the final candidates will be right now. And I think that if you'd gone back to the last election, which was, of course, 2016, and if in 2014 you had said, Donald Trump's going to win that, or even in 2015, if you said Donald Trump's going to win that, people would not have believed you. And yet, sure enough, it happened. So that kind of thing is hard to predict, but certainly there is the potential for a major government investment in EVs and in things like energy efficiency and like stuff like that, which will involve all sorts of tax breaks for people to make changes in their homes, their cars, you name it. So that's one more thing to keep an eye out on.
Sean, thank you so much for chatting with us.
Thanks. I had a great time.
My guest has been Sean Brodrick, Senior Editor at WeissRatings.com. If you have any questions for Sean or any of our other guests, you can send them to info@HowStreet.com. Our popular YouTube channel is Talk Digital Network. Find us on Twitter @HowStreet. I'm Jim Goddard. Thank you for listening.
Comments made on HowStreet.com radio are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any matter whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time. Available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. HowStreet.com radio is a production of HowStreet Media Incorporated.